Uh-oh. Okay, we'll start with this. Ahead of her second professional bout this weekend, teen Tia May Ayton is aiming to become the youngest undisputed champion. I can definitely do that. Tia May Ayton, 19, has set her sights on becoming the youngest ever undisputed champion in the four-belt era across both genders in boxing. America's Gabriela Fundora was just 22 when she held all the world titles in the flyweight division in November of last year. Ayton clearly isn't shy when laying out her ambitions, but why would she be? In over 300 fights across Muay Thai, MMA, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, and boxing, just 3 of those have been defeats, which she later avenged. She will contest her second professional boxing bout against Liddy Bialik on Saturday. When the Bristol fighter was told about Fundora's achievement, her eyes lit up. I could do that. I can definitely do that. That's going to be a new challenge for me. I've got a long time. And Tia is right. She does have a long time, but women's boxing also moves fast. Just look at her compatriot, Nina Hughes. Nina won a world title in what was just her 5th fight as a professional. Not only is Ayton setting her sights on records, but she's got her eyes on gold, and plenty of it. I want to be undisputed in bantamweight and super bantamweight, and then it goes featherweight and super featherweight, said Ayton. I want to do those 4 categories, and I want to be undisputed in all 4. It's high expectations, but I think I can do it. Only one boxer, Clarissa Shields, has won all 4 world titles in 3 different weight classes. No one yet has managed to do it in 4. And it's also worth noting that it's a lot harder to become an undisputed champion at Bantam or Super Bantam than the divisions where Clarissa campaigns, where there were not a lot of girls, but there were a lot of vacant titles. The likes of Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano have paved the way for women boxers to earn millions of pounds, but Ayton isn't getting carried away despite her youth, when asked what she would purchase with her first healthy fight purse. The teenager opted against the flashy car. I want a farm. I want cows, sheep, goats, and chickens. That's my dream, Ayton said. I'll just live a quiet life on my farm, and then when I train, I'll go into camp and then go back and be peaceful. I've always known I'd be a fighter. Ayton signed with promoter Eddie Hearns' Matchroom Boxing after she caught the eye when sparring with former featherweight world champion Sky Nicholson, aged 18. At youth level, she is a 5-time national champion and won gold in the 57-kilogram weight category at the Amateur World Championships in Colorado last year. She also won the televised Haringi Box Cup in June last year at the 60-kilogram lightweight limit, and this was all before a stunning stoppage in the 3rd round of her professional debut against Sarah Orgazzi in June. But despite the super bantamweight wanting to make history in the sport, if it wasn't for childhood squabbles with her sister, she may not have discovered her talent at all. It's actually so silly, Ayton said. I started because me and my sister always used to fight all the time. My dad got us into kickboxing at the age of 6, and I just carried it on from there. I've always known I'd be a fighter. Ayton was earmarked as a potential prospect for Great Britain's Olympic Games team because of her impressive youth career. She said, "Everyone wants a gold medal, but the style of amateur boxing put her off. I had the opportunity to go with GB, but I'm a family person and I love being with my family. I didn't want to move away and move up to Sheffield, she said. I feel like the whole style of amateur just didn't suit me. I just like getting in there and fighting. I like stopping people. The decision was made to turn pro. At the tender age of 18 in May, she was signed by Matchroom. Being signed by Hearn and boasting a 21-0 amateur record meant Ayton carries a huge reputation with her into her debut. With braces on her teeth and being touted as the future of women's boxing, Ayton felt the pressure. I remember having a chat with my coach, Dean Lewis, before. We both had pressure on us, she said. Everyone has bigged me up, and when people lose, they blame it on their coaches, so we had a lot of pressure on us. I know what I'm capable of, and he knows what I'm capable of. It's just another day for me, really. I've been fighting since I can remember. It's just about winning, and that's all I care about. So at bantamweight, there's only one champion, undisputed champion Shernika Johnson. That's at bantam. At super bantam, there are two champions remaining, Ellie Scottney and Mayeli Flores. North of super bantam at feather, there are three champions, Amanda Serrano, Tiaria Brown, and Nina Menka. Now, young Tia May Ayton is a ways out from fighting for a title at any of those weights. I'd give her maybe a year and a half before she's ready and before she actually does. And by the time she does, could be a very different landscape in between 118 and 126. So don't get attached to the idea that Tia will challenge Shernika Johnson or Ellie Scottney or some of those champions that are there right now. Things could look very different a year from now. Now, she kicked off her pro debut with a bang, and I expect to see another one this weekend on the undercard of what is a Matchroom show in what is her second professional bout. If she makes short work of this next girl, I expect Matchroom to get her out at least one more time before this year is out to close it out with 3 professional bouts. Elsewhere in the world of boxing, trouble in paradise as it pertains to Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul's circus. Per Josh Peter of USA Today, Jake Paul versus Gervonta Tank Davis fight has apparently hit a snag. The fight has not been approved by Georgia Athletics, that athletic commission. The issues, the Georgia Athletic Commission has not yet approved the fight for Jake Paul versus Tank Davis. A significant weight difference between both fighters is the potential issue. It is currently unclear if the event will be sanctioned as a professional boxing match or as an exhibition. The committee's next board meeting, where the fight will be considered, is scheduled for September 18th. Just cutting it kind of close. When you consider that this is all supposed to go down in what, November? November 14th. This harkens back to what Frank Smith said of Matchroom, that technically the fight isn't already made, even though it's already been announced. There are many issues that have yet to be ironed out, and this is one among them. In a doomsday scenario where the Georgia Athletic Commission decides not to allow this contest to go on in their state, theoretically, Jake and Gervonta could always move the fight to somewhere else, but time is of the essence if they want to keep that November date. So I'm left wondering, are they going to wait until the 18th of this month for the Georgia Athletic Commission's hearing, or are they going to get proactive and just move it now? Don't even wait. Move it to, say, Florida or Texas, more freewheeling boxing commissions than the Georgia State Athletic Commission. When so much money is involved, you can make things happen, and you can make them happen quickly, because Netflix is definitely behind this thing. There is definitely a lot of money behind this thing. Could you imagine if it falls apart in a doomsday scenario where they just can't get it together, they can't get it over the line? I think it would be more of a consequence for Gervonta than Jake, if you can believe that, because it's very obvious what Gervonta Davis is doing with this fight. He's cashing out. Well, he started off this year saying that he wants to retire, and this may be his last year in the sport. This exhibition with Jake would make that possible. He stands to make anywhere in between $20 to $40 million for what isn't even a real fight. If for some reason it all falls apart, well, there goes the neighborhood, and there go those plans. The kickoff press conference for the exhibition is set to go down the day before the Georgia Athletic Commission's hearing on the 18th. The press conference is said to be going down the 17th. I think that the press conference may end up being more interesting than the exhibition itself, the fight itself, as Jake Paul has so much ammunition to use against Gervonta Davis. His small stature, his padded record, avoiding the likes of Vasyl Lomachenko, Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, Shakur Stevenson, avoiding a rematch with Lamont Roach. There is so much ammunition there, so much that Jake Paul can say, that if he doesn't say some of these things, I'm going to take that as a mutual agreement between Jake and Gervonta to go easy on each other, not just in the build-up, but in the exhibition itself. It would be a bad omen, a bad sign, if Jake doesn't try to get under Gervonta Davis's skin, which I think is very easy to do, because there's so much to use, so much ammunition. Even if he doesn't want to get too personal with Gervonta Davis, though he can always pull rank on him. He can always assert his A-side status over Gervonta Davis, because when you compare them, Jake Paul has been in, comparatively, bigger box office fights than Gervonta more often. Gervonta's only ever been a blip on the radar once, and that was with Ryan Garcia. The rest of the time, his pay-per-views hover at around just 200,000, just north or just south, and not more than that. Jake has had more big box office fights than Gervonta. The Ben Askren pay-per-view was a successful one. The Tommy Fury pay-per-view was another. And think about the big Mike Tyson exhibition on Netflix. If you needed any further indication that Jake Paul is the A-side here, don't forget, he's the one that brought Netflix into it. He's the one that brought Netflix into the boxing space, and it's Netflix that's paying for all of this. At the helm of the promotion, it's not Mayweather Promotions, it's not Gervonta Davis Promotions, or the PBC. At the helm of the promotion is MVP. And I would find it very peculiar, very strange, if in the build-up of this exhibition, Jake Paul doesn't take time to point that out, to make light of that he is the A-side over Gervonta Davis. He's the one in charge. He's a troll. So I would find it very peculiar, him being a troll, if he doesn't try to get a rise out of Gervonta Davis by pulling rank, by asserting his A-side status over him. Without this exhibition, Gervonta Davis is out in the wilderness. He's out in the cold. The only way you could make comparable money to what you're about to make with this is by fighting Shakur. We all know he's not about to do that. The only way you could make something close to what you're about to make is going to Saudi and working with Turkey. And we know Gervonta Davis didn't want to do that. He feels better doing this. And I would find it strange if Jake didn't point that out, if he didn't bring up his constant run-ins with the law, the domestic abuse stuff. There's so much to use against Gervonta Davis. There is so much ammunition there that if Jake Paul doesn't do it, and he doesn't say something, I'll take that as a sign. A mutual agreement between them to go easy on each other. That would have to be the only explanation, because 100% of the time, Jake is a troll who has a lot to say. So say it to Gervonta. That's what we're here for. Make a spectacle of it. Humiliate him. There's no reason not to. You've got ample ammunition to use, so use it. It's assuming the Georgia Athletic Commission doesn't kill this thing. We'll find out what their ruling is on the 18th. Now over to a real boxing match and not an exhibition. The Dayton location has been revealed as Josh Kelly agrees for world title clash with Bakram Murtazaliev. In many ways, both fighters don't have very many options for a big fight aside from each other. After weeks of negotiations, Josh Kelly has agreed to a maiden world title challenge against reigning IBF junior middleweight champion Bakram Murtazaliev. Now, a Dayton location have been provided for the intriguing battle. Throughout his career, Josh Kelly, 17-1 with 1 draw and 9 knockouts, has been criticized for his below-par matchmaking, often topping cards up north against lesser-known opposition. However, few can take a swipe at his upcoming dance partner in Murtazaliev, 23-0 with 17 KOs, who is deemed as the junior middleweight bogeyman by the masses. The Russian knocked out Jack Kulke last April to claim the vacant IBF title, and then pulled off the upset as a champion to defend the belt in a dominant 3-round beatdown of Tim Kazoo. 6 months later, Murtazaliev has yet to fight since, but through little doing of his own, with his junior middleweight rivals unwilling, for the most part, to take him on, despite the added incentive of the IBF crown. I mean, consider that. Look at Virgil. Virgil Ortiz was in talks for a Keith Thurman fight. A Jermel Charlo fight? Look at who he's fighting now, Erickson Lubin. You rather fight Erickson Lubin than the guy Lubin was about to fight in Bakram Murtazaliev? It all adds to Bakram's reputation as this division's bogeyman. Look at who Sebastian chose to fight. He could have tried for a unification match with Bakram. Instead, he chose to fight the guy that Bakram beat up, and the guy that he already beat in Tim Kazoo. In recent months, Sunderland-born Josh Kelly seemed to be another junior middleweight that was falling into that category, unpersuaded by the allure of the IBF title when the proposal of a scrap with the hard-hitting Russian was brought to his table. Yet, the IBF have since ordered the contest, and Kelly seems to have had a change of heart, emerging as one of the few contenders at the weight that is up for the challenge of dethroning Murtazaliev. On his X account, Kelly threatened to box the champion's head off before informing his rival that his wait is over. Josh Kelly said, still deciding on whether or not to box your head off or box your head off. A couple of hard choices there, lad. To which Bakrub responded, the main thing is, don't do anything to yourself before our fight. Very frustrated Kathy Duva of Main Events, who handles the career of Bakram Murtazaliev, pointed out how many guys they went to for a fight with Bakrub and how many guys didn't want it. The back and forth between Bakrub and Josh continued. Bakrub said, 5 fighters before you have already told me that. I hope you won't be the 6th. I've been waiting for an opponent for a long time. Josh Kelly responded by saying, your wait's over, sweet cheeks, not just a pretty face. Despite Kelly also going on to tease that the fight could take place in his hometown of Sunderland, Murtazaliev has since informed Boxing News that the contest will take place in Manchester on Saturday, December 13th. The 32-year-old, hesitant to completely believe that Kelly will sign, then shared his plans to watch his beloved Arsenal Football Club after he faces Pretty Boy. I will be very happy if it happens. I've been waiting a very long time. I'll be happy to show myself to the English fans. I've never been there. After the fight, I want to attend an Arsenal match and relax a bit in England. Boxing News believes that Murtazaliev versus Kelly will act as the co-main event of a card headlined by heavyweight sensation Moses Italma at the Co-op Live Arena. At present, Filip Hrgovic is one name being suggested as a possible Italma opponent, whilst Kubrat Pulev and Jermaine Franklin are also being touted for the away corner. That'd be a hell of a card. Moses' ring return towards the end of the year being co-main evented by this? I love it! At the risk of repeating myself, I don't think Josh wins this fight. I really don't. After having seen what he suffered at the hands of David Evanesian at 147, I don't think he beats a guy like this at 154. And nothing Josh has done at 154 would prepare him for someone like Bakram. He's been up there for a few years and quite a few fights now. This is a big step up for him. Putting the shoe on the other foot, Bakram looked sensational against Tim Kazoo, but careful that he's not a one-hit wonder, that his reputation as a bogeyman far exceeds his actual ability, his natural ability, because he may have introduced himself to the world with that fight, but he seems to have left the party early because we haven't seen him since, and I understand that it's not his fault. These guys don't want to know. They don't want to fight him. But nobody's invincible. He's just a man, after all.